Good morning, this is Mike Kearsley. I'm making this little helix this morning here. I had my second cup of coffee, and it's Sunday, January 30th, about 8:30 in the morning. Stay tuned if you'd like to see how I made this little helix using generative shape design and part design in CATIA V5. So to start with, here's the finished product of what I'm going to be making. It's a little torsion spring, and it uses the helix function in generative shape design here to make this thing. Anyway, I'll stay tuned. I'll show you how I make this thing. Anyway, to start it, of course, create a new part with the part function. I like to type in the name of these things as I go. Hit OK, and it'll make a new part. Anyway, so a new part pops up with these planes in here. I don't particularly like to see these planes in here, so I'll just no-show them. I know where this stuff resides off of my compass. There's the YZ plane there, for example. Normally, you start out in part design to make parts, but this particular part you need to open up generative shape design to make the curves to drive a profile. So I'll just grab my little helix tool to start making this thing. My starting point I can right click on here, and I can create a point here on this Y vector here at a distance of 2 inches. Hit OK. So my first point is started as to where I'll start the wrap of this spring going around a center Y vector here. And I can create that center point off of the origin axis by right-clicking here and selecting the Z vector of the origin. I can type in here a pitch of 0.4. That's the distance between the coils on the spring. And my total height there, I can type in 4 inches high for this thing. Hit OK, and it'll start building the curve geometry to drive this torsion spring. So anyway, now I've created this curve here, and I'll create a little extension here so I've got a little extension on the torsion spring. So I'll click the line, and I'll go tangent to curve, select the curve, select the point. I'll drag this little thing over here, and I'll type in a -4 and populate that parameter. Okay, I'll also create a little line off of there. I'll select that curve, this thing here. I'll drag this back over here, type in a 4 inches here, hit OK. So I've started building this geometry here to drive a profile along these curves. So anyway, what I need to do now is I need to join this line with this curve, and then join this other line here. So I'll go to operations here, and use this little operations functions to join this stuff together here. Hit OK, and I've created one join here. So notice so far everything I've done here is in generative shape design, and it's part of what's creating this geometry in the open body of the part file. So now what I'm ready to do is I'm ready to create a sketch here about this point here to drive it around on that join curve. So I can either do that in the generative shape design or the part design. Anyway, I'm in generative shape design, so I'll just continue here and make that little sketch. So I'll create this sketch on the YZ plane, and I can select it here and select the sketch, of course, and I'll start building this sketch. I can zoom in on that area a little bit, a little bit closer. So I'll create a little circle here, and I'll create it with a diameter of 0.25, and I'll add a coincidence relationship between the center of that circle and that point location. Now it's green, it's totally defined, and I can get out of the sketch environment kind of reframe this thing, and you can kind of see what I've got. So I've got my sketch right here that I've created, and I'll use that sketch to drive it along this join curve. So I'm in generative shape design now, so now I need to toggle out of there and get into part design and drive this thing. So I'll use the rib function here to create this little feature. My profile here, I'll create the sketch. My center curve, I'll use the join, and now the processor is working. I'm running on a 2.4 gigahertz processor. It's a little slow. Take about 15 seconds to generate this helix, and of course it'll generate it under this part body here in this .cat part file. And of course everything I've done so far is in generative shape design, and it's down underneath the open body environment of the tree. The processor is still thinking. There's quite a bit of math going on to generate this little helix. Looks like it got a little funked up here in this area in here. It probably needs a little directions from this profile control. So I'll play around with this thing, and I can see if I can better define a pulling direction on this thing to clean this little torsion spring up. So it's asking for a little selection here, and I'll create this. I'll select this little vector here to see if I can clean up this this geometry. And the processor has to rethink this thing, so it takes about 10 seconds to do that. Oh, it cleaned it up. So I'll just OK out of that and see if we've built this little torsion spring. So we've built this little thing here, and again I've used part design to drive the sketch along that curve line. And what I kind of like to do here is show you a little trick here. If you toggle on to Tools, Options, Parameters and Measure, and if you toggle on this with value here, you can on the fly here you can change these parameters of the pitch and the height of your torsion spring if you've toggled onto that. So for example, I can change that value right now on the fly here. Kind of handy, kind of little trick. Anyway, I'll cancel out of that. I'll also show you how you can redefine that sketch and maybe make a different looking type of part. For example, if I want to make a little slinky, I can toggle onto the sketch, and I can go down in here and I can delete that little sketch there, and I can drive another profile along here. I'll exit out of the sketch, and I'll redrive that new sketch profile along the join curve. Again, if I don't want to see that join curve, I can hide show to clean it up a little bit. So now I can go back and what I was talking about before, showing you how you can change this stuff on the fly. I can toggle on to the pitch, and I can change it to 0.2, for example, and let the processor regenerate the geometry on the screen here. Anyway, that kind of shows you how you can change this thing and modify it right off the tree. Anyway, this little video kind of concludes how to use generative shape design and part design to make a little torsion spring or slinky. Anyway, talk to you guys later.